Williams, the former Ohio State Buckeye, is ready to do battle against Alexis Jackson. It is Lightning, it is Bobcats, and it's international interleague battle right now on both NBLC TV, and we should mention TBL TV too. We're getting, what is it called, synchronized, John.
I like it. Getting lots of exposure. That's
so
good.
The Bobcats wearing those baby blue threads going against the classic
nice color,
yellows.
Aren't they? I love those uniforms. They look great.
As is tradition here at Budweiser Gardens, the crowd will stand on their feet until the home team gets their opening bucket. The first shot of the game comes from Edward Oliver Hampton, who's a product of South Carolina State, but he couldn't get the shot to go down. So our player to watch in Jordan Burns, who came out of Colgate in the NCAA, receives a screen from Amir Williams. By the way, Amir Williams wearing 25 this year, John. Remember, he wore 23 last year when he won a championship with the Lightning. He actually is coming back after playing in Malaysia, of all places. And during that time in Malaysia, I had it here, he had 17 points and 8.9 rebounds per game.
5 shots, 5 seconds left on the shot clock.
Gonna have to put up a huck is Burns. He will touch the rim to negate a shot clock violation, which was impressive enough, but couldn't get the shot to go down. Larry Plummer from Missouri Valley gives it over to his teammate and Derek Hawthorne, who is our player to watch. Now to the near side to Larry Plummer. They'll work it through Edward Oliver Hampton to the aforementioned Hawthorne, and he'll have the opening bucket of the game. The guy had 33 points in his last contest.
Looking at a smooth stroke, shooting stroke there, and no contest on the shot either.
Guard Devin Harris seems to be the leader of the Bobcats, averaging 12.3 points and 4.2 assists, but unfortunately wasn't able to cross the border. Hawthorne is their leading point getter, averaging 29.5 points per game as the breakaway to the tin. As Gibson couldn't get it in originally, but where there's a will, there's a way, John. Larry Plummer follows it up.
Okay, and not early good signs here. First 2 possessions. One a last-second shot and a turnover on the second one.
Hawthorne,
and nobody
by
coming
the way,
back on that fast break.
He's shooting 45.9% from the field and 90.6% from the charity stripe. Both lead the Bobcats in that category as Marcus Audi rattles it down for the and one.
And he's earned a starting spot under the coach's rotation, and I think it's a well-deserved one. He is quick as lightning, works hard. Most of the time is making really good decisions. The only time sometimes he dribbles into trouble, and he's not the biggest of guys, right? So sometimes he goes among the trees, but otherwise you cannot fault him.
He completes the N1 play here after competing 123 games for Illinois Chicago. They're known as the Flames in the NCAA Division I. London has played the Basketball League 6 times, John, back in 2022. They had a 5-1 record, beating the Lansing Pharaohs twice, the Flint United twice, and beating the Syracuse Stallions. Their lone loss came to the Albany Patroons on the road. That was a 97-90 final. Stuck on his pivot foot was Terry Thomas. He'll be bailed out by Marcus Audi. A little give and go between him and Jordan Burns. They work it back to the East Preston, Nova Scotia native. Spin around Jay for number 13. I don't think that hit the rim, John.
It's a tough shot. I thought he had a little size advantage on his opponent there. Instead, did a turnaround fadeaway jumper. That's not a high percentage. Not that he can't make it, but.
Received the ball from Hawthorne, held on to it for a while. Now the 3 is dialed up, and it's down for Edward Oliver Hampton. Hampton, ironically, went to Hampton. Go figure, for 2 years. That's an NCAA 1 program. They're known as the Pirates, John. He started 24 of 41 games. Marique Isom. Pass kind of went behind Amir Williams, and he couldn't get the shot to go down, and it's the guy that just got the last 3 points, and Edward Oliver Hampton on the rebound. Now kissing this high off the window is Plummer, and it's an early 9-3 lead for the visiting Bobcats. Bobcats as a team, John, made 36 out of 75 shots in that win over the Kalamazoo Galaxy. That was 48%. London shot 47% in that 116-109 loss on Sunday to the Sudbury. Terry Thomas, shot clock down to 3. He's going to have to pull up an awkward 2 over the Bobcat defender. And, man, the Lightning are cold out of the gate.
Yes, and I dare say there was not one pass on that possession.
So another 3 is dialed up and dial it down. A timeout is called as Derek Hawthorne. Again, this guy had 33 points in his last game, John. He's got 8 of the opening 12 here tonight.
I don't know what to say. Lightning are looking a bit sluggish, a little slow off the start here, especially in offense, and I don't see a whole lot of intensity on defense so far. It is early in the game, of course.
So, for some of our fans tuning in, they might be asking, where is Kokomo? Well, it's a 361-mile journey from London, Ontario, about a 6-hour drive through the state of Indiana to a town that roughly hosts 59,000 people. Kokomo has unfortunately struck with 18 tornadoes since 1950, John. Kokomo is actually officially known as the City of Firsts. Among achievements of Kokomo pioneering is Elwood Haynes test driving the first internal combustion engine in 1894. Kokomo was also home to the first mechanical corn picker. I can't make this stuff up, John, in 1920. In fact, Kokomo hosted the first ever Ponderosa Steakhouse, which opened in 1965. Kokomo opened the first ever McDonald's diner, which was locally called the McDiner. This McDonald's theme, though, failed nationally, and eventually the McDiner in Kokomo was closed and converted back to a regular McDonald's restaurant.
Wow, that's good information there, Johnny. Good homework on you. It's interesting stuff about those city. It's also in the basketball country, I would say, as well, right? Indiana.
And again, as you mentioned it before, they are the defending Midwest Conference champions. They, though, had a 1-0 series lead in a best-of-3 to the Albany Patroons in the TBL playoffs. They would lose that series. The Patroons would come back to take it, John, but then Albany would be denied their second TBL championship in franchise history by the Shreveport Mavericks.
So Albany got to the finals, right? That's what I'm
That's right, and Shreveport won it. And if you recall, a former London Lightning, A.J. Gaines, Shreveport, Louisiana native.
Okay, yes.
So back to the action, John. What do you think Doug Plum was saying to the Lightning in the yellow uniforms after dropping a 12-3 run to start this game to the international visitors?
Go to the big guy inside. Exactly. Like, start pounding the paint. Let's do what Amir Williams has been brought in to do.
Amir Williams,
in the middle.
15 points in the first 31 minutes in a Lightning uniform in 2023. He did have 3 rebounds, but Johnny turned over the ball 4 times. For this situation right here, he was 2 of 4 from the line. So the former Ohio State Buckeye, John, makes the first one here on his Thursday night. He's going to be such a key part, especially with Justin Jackson, the second-round draft pick of the Denver Nuggets, not available on the injured reserve list.
Yes, that's a big loss for them. He was starting to come and round into his own, but just getting bogged by some injuries there.
Williams, by the way, played in New Zealand, Switzerland, Hungary, and Britain, all prior to joining Lightning. And between the 2022 and 2023 season, he was playing basketball in Malaysia as he breaks out a fresh batch of stuffing on Alexis Jackson. That's impressive when you consider Jackson is 6'11", John. And the defense turns to offense as Mike Nuga hits the corner 3.
Doesn't that happen so often, right? You play some good defense on the other, on one end, and they generate a good open look for Nuga on the other end, and he buries the 3.
You can tell Alexis Jackson is not a 3-ball shooter. He was left wide open on the near wing, and he looked like a duck lost on the pond. Now he reaches in there and tries to go after Burns, and Burns needs to push this one up the court. Williams from Burns. Great ball movement. Nuga for 3. Won't go. They battle for the biscuit, John, and it's actually Marty Gibson pulling away the rock, the IU Northwest product. 7 minutes remains here in the opening quarter of play. 3 balls away for Kokomo. This one won't go down for Hawthorne. One of his rare misses. He's now 1 of 3 from beyond the arc. Marique Isom, bullseye.
Okay, ball moving around a little quicker that time.
A 12-3 run. Doug Plum calls a timeout, and his team's only down by 1.
Well, I see a lot more hustle and intensity on the defensive end. That's 2 big stops they've had and 3 good possessions.
Elijah Lufiel and Lance Adams, who's a Michigan native, appears to be checking into this game at the scores table for the Lightning. Right in Amir Williams' face, not being able to put this one down, was Alexis Jackson. And Jackson, by the way, played a brief stint for Mexico in his professional basketball days before coming to the TBL. Another 3-ball will rattle down this time for Marcus Audie, who's now got 6 points in the game.
So that time I counted 4 passes, a dribble penetration, and a kick out to the corner for a wide open look, which he buries.
After the 12-3 run to start this game for the Bobcats, it's an 11-0 retaliation run for the Lightning. Trying to change that right now, I can't do it, is Edward Oliver Hampton. So Burns, our player to watch for the London Lightning. Had 31 points in the loss to the Sudbury 5 on Sunday. The 3 balls away. This one won't go down. Rebounded by Hawthorne. So a chance to tie this game up, but they lose the ball. Nuga using his speed back up the court. Gets fouled. Great sportsmanship, though, by the Bobcats to pick him up off the baseline.
He is so quick and so strong. And I don't know what his vertical is, but it's got to be pretty high. He gets way up there.
So London's next game will be Damian Warner night. That's Saturday evening here at Budweiser Gardens. Again, it's a late 7:30 start, and again, it's an American opponent, this time from New York State in the Jamestown Jackals. Mike Nuga rattles the first one down at the line. That's important, John, when you think the last game, London only went to the line 15 times,
yes,
and they only made 9 of 15. That's 60%.
That tells you they're doing a lot of one-and-dones there, right? Not driving the paint.
Now, interesting, as Nuga made both from the line, there were 2 Bobcats in coincidental corners in London's territory. Both Derek Hawthorne and Marty Gibson pretty much were cherry-picking at one end of the court. That's one way to save on fuel.
We'll have to talk about that Dallas Mavericks meltdown from last night. I don't know if you saw that, but
the 2 balls away and hit the back of the rim. Larry Plummer and the Bobcats have kind of gone cold as of late, John. They started this game on a 12-3 run, and now Elijah Lufield continues to run it in London's direction. It's a 15-0 run currently for the home team.
I like what Lance Adams is doing here, just really staying on a little too strong that time, but I'll take that anytime. Let's put some pressure on them right from the start and see what they got.
Well, Lance Adams actually came from the TBL, John.
Yes,
if you recall, he actually played against London as a Lansing Pharaoh back on March 6th of 2022, where he scored 28 points in 31 minutes in this building against London. And I guess there's that expression, if you can't beat them, join them.
Let's recruit them. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So the Bobcats have to get going here. They've gone ice cold the last couple minutes here at Budweiser Gardens on your Thursday night. Almost losing the handle here was Bryant Given making his Bobcats debut, but he makes a nice assist to Johnny Griffin Jr. And the 6'3" guard drills it down, and finally the Bobcats break up the run.
And that was a wide open look too. Anything contested, they haven't been converting, but anything wide open, the percentages go way higher. We know that already.
Bobcats shot 52.9% from downtown in that win over the Kalamazoo Galaxy. That was 9 of 17. Now London with the turnover, 3-on-1 the other way, as this is a bit of a broken play. I think trying to throw up the alley-oop was Bradley Lewis, but his teammate didn't see it coming, and now it's a turnover benefiting the Lightning. Man, they had a 3-on-1, John. You got to come away with points.
What are they trying to do? And then in the end, it was a failed alley-oop that nobody was ready for. It was not pretty.
Both teams, by the way, 3 of 6 from downtown to start this game. Kokomo hasn't gone to the line, John. London has made all 5 shots from the charity stripe to start your Thursday evening.
Yeah, after the first couple minutes, really slow start, they really picked up their intensity physically as well on the court.
And they almost got lucky there, did the Bobcats, as Johnny Griffin Jr. almost threw off the Alita pass. Now Alita gets it back and hits iron. Elijah Lufield, offensive rebound, and puts in the recycling.
I really like his game. He just stays true to what he does really well. Offensive rebounds, takes up space, puts a little bit of physicality into the play.
The forward at 6'7" from Toronto, Ontario, went to Oral Roberts, and here he is getting a defensive rebound, John.
I call that a man board. Like, he's just going up, and I'm getting this thing.
Now he gets set up by Burns. They try to get fancy with it, and he still muscles it in between 2 blue jerseys.
As I said, he's got broad shoulders. He's got a great base. He just doesn't mind mixing it up, and he stays under control.
A 12-3 run has been followed by a 19-3 run for the home side after Doug Plum called that timeout, John.
I think he told him to wake up, don't you?
The Bobcats are the ones that are going to have to wake up out of their slumber now, as a long 3 ball was fired in by Bradley Lewis, and the loose change rolls out of bounds.
They're settling for not very good shot selection the last few possessions.
Kind of shocked that Cliff Livingston, the head coach of the Bobcats, hasn't called a timeout in response when you consider the dismal start that Lightning had at that 12-3 run. Doug Plum called a timeout and let his team know it. Now, you're pointing at the corner there. He is letting the subs know that are coming off the court what he thinks about their performance.
Yeah, he does. Yep. I don't think he's going to hold anything back, I don't think.
So number 7, Elijah Lufiel with his team enjoying a 7-point lead here in the first quarter of play. It's Adams pulling up a 3 ball. Rim rejection. Another offensive rebound by Lufiel. He'll be fouled.
I think Mr. Amir Williams is going to look at that and says, wow, he can really dominate in there when he's physical. I'm going to play some more physical. That's what Amir Williams needs to do.
Now, Elijah Lufiel actually was selected in the second round with the 25th pick in the 2022 annual G League draft by the Salt Lake City Stars. In fact, his teammate Marique Isom had a cup of coffee with the Salt Lake City Stars of the G League too. He ended up playing 16 games in the G League showcase. What was really ironic about that showcase, John, was it was won by the LA Clippers G League team. And the style of tournament, they had to hit a certain amount of points. It wasn't based on time. And Xavier Moon ended up hitting the game-winning shot in the finals of that G League showcase.
Name, absolutely.
He's a former London Lightning.
Yes. What I really like is that London's got very physical, and Lufiel in particular is leading the way on that. And that's what I think they need to do. Play a little bit of bully ball, they call it, right?
Johnny Griffin Jr. feeds Edward Oliver Hampton, who tries to lose Elijah Lufiel, and that little shoulder shake by EOH worked that time.
Yeah, good head fake.
So 1 minute and 40 seconds left in the opening quarter of play. It seems to be a quarter of runs, John Van Hellingen, as it was a 12-3 run to start the game for the Bobcats. And since then, the Bobcats have gone on, well, let's say a 20-4 run against them. Or I should correct, 20-5 run.
Yeah, they just got another basket there, so they close
Long
the gap
two.
to 6, but that's nothing.
I don't think that grazed the rim. Again, Devin Harris, a Jacksonville product, is usually the leader on the court for the Bobcats. He could not come across the border. He usually actually wears number 12. It's Bryant Giffen, the South Bend, Indiana native, one of the 3 Indiana natives injected into the Bobcats lineup for tonight's game. Bryant Giffen, Ty Tillman, and Joe Redditch are the 3 new faces in the baby blue uniforms. That can't be easy, too, John, when you're on the road and you got to put 3 new faces on your team.
Absolutely. I don't know how much playing time they've had this year, and if they played with the team at all either. That's not enough patience there by Audie that time. He needed to let Amir Williams get his back foot set so he could jump up and get it.
I was
just
too
too early a pass.
A little miscommunication, but you're right. Maybe just a little. Let the play breathe a little bit.
That's right. Let him get set, and then you can throw it.
Kokomo, again, with a 5-1 record. They lost to the Jamestown Jackals back on March 5th, but since then, 4 straight victories as Johnny Griffin Jr. had a chance for the and 1. He'll still go to the line, John, with his team down by 6.
That foul was on Isom. First time in a long time that they've actually driven into the paint.
Johnny Griffin Jr., the guard out of Ford Heights, Illinois, went to 2 years at Chicago State. That is an NCAA Division I program, where he started 13 of 62 games. He got in 916 minutes in his NCAA 1 career, and they're known as the Cougars at Chicago State.
The C or a K?
With a C.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually people think Bobcat spelled with a C too, John, but not tonight. It's a K.
I know.
He goes 1 for 2 from the line, and again, as a team, John, they went to the line 41 times in that 113-110 victory over the Kalamazoo Galaxy. They made 32 out of 41. That's 78%.
What's interesting is Terry Thomas has sat off since his first rotation as a starter, still sitting on the bench with the red shirt on there instead of his yellow shirt. I'm not sure if he's hurt. He has some lingering injury issues. We know that.
Thomas is coming off of a 17-point performance, John, over 39 minutes of play in that 116-109 loss to Sudbury. Marcus Audie gets the pass from Adams and gives it back to the Michigan native. Now to Isom, back out to Adams. An awkward pass as the shot clock was expiring, and a long rebound is pulled down by Edward Oliver Hampton. But 1 second between the shot clock and game clock. Johnny Griffin Jr. kicks it out to Edward Oliver Hampton, who hits nothing but nylon, and it's a 3-point lead for the Lightning. Shot clock's turned off, dying seconds of the opening quarter. Adams zigging and zagging, but he can't get the final shot of the opening 12 minutes to go. So the Bobcats again started this game with an incredible, John, 12-3 run. But then London retaliated, quite frankly, with a 15-3 run of their own. And after 12 minutes and the dust finally settled down after the first quarter, it leads to a 23-20 scoreboard.
Yeah, just starting to look at some of the stats here. Pretty well even in rebounds, 12 and 13. Turnovers even 3 and 2, so nothing to sneeze at there. I would say.
CEO of the Basketball League announced a new franchise called the Kokomo Bobcats, which would be owned by Jeff and Sandy Beeler, Mark and Kristen Jansen. The league was interested in expanding into Kokomo, and local ownership decided to finance the team, playing in the upper Midwest with teams like the West Virginia Grind, Lebanon Leprechauns, Kalamazoo Galaxy, Jamestown Jackals, Flint United, and Glass City Wranglers in the Midwest Conference. They are your defending 2022 Midwest Conference champions, as John alluded to at the top of our broadcast. But again, as I mentioned, they did have a 1-0 series lead in a best-of-3 to the Albany Patroons, the same Patroons that have only handed the only loss in London Lightning's history to a TBL franchise. But the Patroons would be denied their second-ever TBL championship by the Shreveport Mavericks in the TBL championship.
Okay, so
you have a team that's technically been around for all of 2 years, John.
Yes.
Already has a little bit of success by being a Midwest Conference champion of the Basketball League. And here they are for the first time ever, north of the border, taking on a Canadian opponent. And talk about a tough one in the defending NBLC champions.
Yes, and I'm curious, do you have any records of how many returning players there are on Kokomo Bobcats? Not really? So it's like, like sometimes this league here with the Basketball League of Canada, there's a lot of turnover. Now, London has some returning players. Some of them are coming late. But a lot of the franchises, you can only keep them 4 or 5 players from last year. The rest are all turnover.
Well, if you're the Lightning, what you're doing is just slowly recollecting your gems over the course of the season. They've added Amir Williams, and it turns out Jermaine Haley will be coming back into the fold. It's jam time, baby, but it won't count.
No, fouls on the floor before he took off. Yeah,
hey,
so
that's
Haley,
a good way
right.
to get your coach's attention, though. Brian Given, one of the newcomers from South Bend, Indiana. Yeah, he's fouled at midcourt. That's a clear path foul, by the way. I thought so, John. The guy had a breakaway to the hoop.
Nobody's arguing about it. He must have hit him before he went past the last defender.
Ooh, I would be argumentative if I was Cliff Livingston, the head coach of the Bobcats. Again, the Bobcats at 5-1, John, arguably represent the toughest opponent that London has seen here at Budweiser Gardens since the undefeated Syracuse Stallions came here in 2022, and London did win that game. London will actually go to Syracuse on Friday, March 31st in their lone USA game in 2023. It is important to note that supposedly the champion of this league will play the champion of the Basketball League in a champion versus champion jamboree, if you will, as Terry Thomas received a nifty pass from Jordan Burns but couldn't complete the play. He'll be fouled by the aforementioned Given and go to the line.
Yeah, nifty pass is right, but what made that play was Terry Thomas sprinting down to the baseline behind the defender and Burns picking him up.
So Terry Thomas will head to the line. He is your defending Canadian Player of the Year, your sixth man of the year, and Finals MVP when the London Lightning were able to collect their 5th National Basketball League of Canada championship. They are one of the only original franchises left in the 4-team league that is based in Windsor, Kitchener, Waterloo, Sudbury, and here in London. As working it underneath the hoop, Edward Oliver Hampton. I was talking with Cliff Livingston before the game, and I mentioned, hey, Hawthorne is going to be our player to watch, and he immediately mentioned Edward Oliver Hampton, saying that's another guy you might want to keep an eye on.
Okay, yeah.
And after 12 minutes of play, you can kind of see why Johnny's leading all Bobcat scorers with 9 points and 3 rebounds. Terry Thomas, 3 balls away. It goes down. That was a big 3 ball considering the possession was down to 1.
Yeah, and what I liked, again, good quick ball movement and no hesitation on the shot. A great block by Amir Williams. That's his second one already. Here's Thomas. What's he going to do? Try draw foul? Yes, he did.
And
he got the basket.
He'll pick the foul out of Bradley Lewis. And you saw on the other end of the court, Bryant Given again try to go to hammer time, but as you called accurately, partner, it was the big man wearing 25 instead of his 23 that he wore last year, Amir Williams.
Think that means anything to him, that number? Like, 23 is a Jordan number, right?
Michael Jordan. I'll say this, too. I noticed Thomas, remember, he wore Thomas last year on the back of his jersey. He's got Thomas Jr. on the back of his jersey in 2020. Everybody's tweaking their things just a little bit there. Three ball is away. Bang! Edward Oliver Hampton, 6'7", leading everybody on the court now with 12 points. Johnny's 2 of 3 from beyond the arc.
Well, wouldn't you have a good percentage if nobody was in your face or challenging you? You had all the time in the world to shoot that. Like, how does he get so open and for so long?
I don't think London read the scouting report. They're looking at a 6'7" product going, there's no way he can shoot the three ball. Yes, he can. Amir Williams. I believe that was Johnny Griffin Jr. being taken to the Amir Williams paint school.
Yeah, he looks a little hesitant, Amir, there. I'm not sure why. I think he should just get down there and just keep battling like Lufield did. That's going to be a foul.
It's a big block by Amir Williams, but you're right, the follow through, and I think the official...
I thought it might be an offensive foul with putting his legs out. That's what I thought. But no call, just a block.
Which will allow Joe Redditch, the Richmond, Indiana native, to inbound the ball from the end line with 9:32 remaining in the opening half of play. 12 seconds left on the shot clock. Trying to get free right now is Bradley Lewis. Instead, they get to Given. He can't get love off the rim, and Marique Eisen pulls away the board.
Again, that's the Amir Williams effect. Put his hand up there. I don't know if he tipped or not, but it certainly affected the shot.
Jordan
That's
Burns.
going to be a foul on Williams. Yeah, put his elbow up around the neck and just wrestled the guy down.
Jordan Burns is our player to watch, partner. He's already got 7 assists before the halftime break. Remember, in the last game against Sudbury, sure, he had 31 points, but he was well below his game average with just 4 assists over 47 minutes of play. He's got 7, and we got 9:19 remaining before the halftime break.
Well, we talked about it, right? Like, we know most of these players, if they're open, they can score, no problem. It's the rest of the game when you're under pressure, making good decisions, sharing the ball, getting an even more open look.
Three ball won't go as Bradley Lewis still trying to find the edge here on your Thursday night. Now Terry Thomas blows by him, feeds Burns. The no look to Elijah Lufiel was intercepted by Edward Oliver Hampton, who travels.
So that was a turnover on Burns that time, but I'm going to say that wasn't all his fault. He wanted to pass it deep into Lufiel, but Lufiel stayed way too deep. He needed to step up one step so he can come and get that pass.
Edward Oliver Hampton is a Baltimore, Maryland native. He's 6'8", John, as there is a long 2-ball. Won't go for Thomas. Saving this one is Bryant Giffen. I'm really impressed by the newcomer in the Bobcats uniform, wearing 12 tonight. Now Johnny Griffin trying to zigzag his way, leaves it there for Bradley Lewis, who again continues to struggle here. Lewis is now 0 of 4 with all shots being missed from beyond the arc. Looks like 3 Bobcats are getting ready to come into this game for Coach Livingston. Elijah Lufiel coasts in for 2.
No switch off that time on defense. No communication on the Bobcats that time.
Bobcats offense really stagnant here in the second quarter. They've only put up 5 points so far. Remember, they started off the game on a 12-3 run. As I say that, Edward Oliver Hampton continues to rumble. 14 points leading everybody on the hardwood.
Yeah, he just backed his way down and just a little alley-oop shot right over top of the defender. That's a very high percentage shot.
Burns stuck on his pivot foot, tried to feed Lufiel, but it's Edward Oliver Hampton turning the ball over for the Bobcats, and he'll be fouled. This guy's all over the court right now in a baby blue uniform.
He's a nightmare for Burns. That's twice he's turned it over to him in the last 3 possessions.
And I find it ironic. He's Edward Oliver Hampton, hyphenated last name. Shout out to all the hyphenated last names out there, myself included. He went to Hampton. That's an NCAA Division I school. They're known as the Pirates for 2 years. Then in 2021-2022, he attended South Carolina State as a senior. In 30 games, he averaged 19 points per game and 7.4 rebounds. And they're known as the Bulldogs at South Carolina State. I think Lufiel, they're going to say, was fouled as he tried to collect that rebound.
Grabbed the rebound. He's a little bit lucky because he brought the down right in the ball down right in the middle of 2 players from the Bobcats. He should have kept it high or tucked it in. So the quick substitution back and forth with Williams and Lufiel. Both of them are playing the inside physical part of it.
Not a lot of timeouts called by either team. Remember, after that 12-3 opening run by Kokomo, Doug Plum of the Lightning called a timeout, and that's the only timeout I can really think of by either coach so far in this game, John.
I think those are the only ones, yes.
Alita, 3-ball, hits the bottom of the cup.
That's his specialty, him and Lance Adams, right? They're both in. They're both sharpshooters.
Adam Alita spent 1 year at Trinity Collegiate College, 2 seasons at Northern Kentucky, and then transferred to Bryant. Over the course of his NCAA career, he started 45 of 77 games. Audie was trying to feed Williams. Instead, it hit off the bare paw of Derek Hawthorne.
Well, that was another Amir Williams block on the open court again. I think Audie should have driven that ball a little closer to the hoop and then dropped it off.
Troy Baker comes into this game. He wears 16 for the Bobcats. He's 6'8", John, out of Southwestern in Kansas. Near elbow, Audie kicks it out to Thomas. They rotate it around the perimeter to Alita. It's rim rejection this time, gathered by Alexis Jackson. Again, Jackson actually the 6'11" Bermuda product. He actually played basketball in Mexico prior to joining the TBL. A 6-point lead by the Lightning as they kick it back into the offense. It's Amir Williams over to the near side to Audie. Down low to Amir. He tried to reverse it off the window, and the guy that just came from Malaysia is looking pretty good in his second game of the season.
Yep, I think that's there all night long. And they got 2 sharpshooters out there as well, right, between Adams and Alita, and that's going to give Amir Williams some more space in the middle. You're going to have to guard those 3-point shooters.
Larry Plummer was harassed by Adams. You see Amir Williams trying to beg for a travel call. Instead, they're going to get Adams on the foul.
That's his second, I believe, for Adams.
So with 14 seconds left on the shot clock and 6:01 remaining in the first half of action, it will be Derek Hawthorne, who's got 5 points in this game, inbounding it. He started off hot, John, but so far he's 2 of 5 from the field. It seems like going to the bench kind of hurt him. As losing this ball and then wearing a cold shoulder was Alexis Jackson, the 6'11" international product, feeling a little worse for wear at the end of that play.
Timeout called. 38-27, they built an 11-point lead here. Bobcats really struggling to generate any kind of offense. It's almost just quick hitters, once in a while an open look, and they're unable to really stop London on the inside as well between Lufiel and Williams. They're having their way down under.
The Bobcats are coached by Cliff Livingston, as I mentioned before. He's a San Diego State native that went to Wichita State College for his basketball, but John played 11 years in the NBA. He was a first-round pick selected by the Detroit Pistons in 1982. After 6 seasons with the Atlanta Hawks, Livingston joined the Chicago Bulls, where he won 2 championships in 1991 and 1992 with a guy called Michael Jordan. Have you ever heard of that guy?
Now, I might have heard that.
From
yes.
1992 to 1994, he actually would go over and play in the Greek Basket League, and he actually played in their version of the Final Four in the FIBA European League Cup. In 1993, he moved to the Italian A Series, where he won a national title in 1994. And then he went back to the United States, where he joined the Denver Nuggets. When he retired from the NBA in 1995, he finished with 5,888 points, 4,307 rebounds, 593 shots blocked in the association.
Oh, wow.
In 2000, Livingston began his coaching career as an assistant coach with the Fort Wayne Fury. He would be an assistant coach with the Dodge City Legends of the USBL. He would then return to Dodge City before becoming a Legends head coach in the USBL, where they did win a championship in 2002, and he was named a USBL Coach of the Year. From 2003 to 2004, Livingston served as an assistant coach and was hired by the Gary Steelheads of the CBA. He's gone practically everywhere in his coaching career, including the Oklahoma Cavalry, Michigan City Marquette High School, as well as the Rochester Razor Sharks of the Premier Basketball League, before being hired by the Kokomo Bobcats as their first and only head coach so far in their franchise's history.
Did I hear you said he was a coach in a high school team at one time?
At one point, he did coach the Michigan City Marquette High School team.
That would be so fun at the high school level.
And
coached by a former NBA player that played with Jordan?
I know this from personal experience driving to the lovely city of Chicago. Michigan City is in Indiana. It gets a little confusing.
That is confusing, yes.
So 5.5 to go here before the halftime break. The London Lightning are enjoying an 11-point lead here, large in part to the second quarter, which sees them outscoring their opponents 15-7. They give it to the big man down low. The one-hand hook, though, won't go for Alexis Jackson. They get the ball back, and Baby Blues got a fresh 14.
Our first look at number player Troy Baker. It's the first time he's on the floor, number 16. He's got some height. We know he's the one that knocked that ball loose. He's 6'8". See if he can make any effect on the game here on the inside.
Derek Hawthorne now 3 of 6 from the field, but Adams retaliates with the corner three.
He's wide open all kinds of time to line that up. He's way too good a shooter to leave for that long.
Adams was 0 for 3 from beyond the arc and 0 for 4 from the field before that shot, though, John. As being fouled in the and one. Man, these guys can coast it off the glass. Larry Plummer will try and complete the and one play.
Yeah, so this is what we talked about at the top of the show. We thought they'd be coming down the paint a little bit more. That's going to be the second time they're going to the foul line. Only 1 of 2 so far. I think Williams has had a big part in denying them, of course. He has 4 blocks already, but he's not on the floor right now.
Larry Plummer had 23 points in that 113-110 victory over the Kalamazoo Galaxy last Sunday afternoon. He was 7 of 7 from the charity stripe and 7 of 16 from the field over 28 minutes of play. And here he completes the N1 play and pulls his team within 9. So which Kokomo City first are you most proud of, John? The automated corn picker, the McDiner, the combustible engine back in 1894?
Well, I'm going to say, as an old tobacco picker guy, I'm going to go with the corn picker automated. I would not want to have to pick corn by hand. Oh, my goodness.
Mine's Ponderosa Steakhouse. I think you owe me a meal or two. Rattling this one off the window and down is Derek Hawthorne. He continues the rumble here in the second quarter, John. After starting off a little cold, he's got 9 points, and he's our player to watch. Marique Isom hits the front of the rim. Rebound pokes out to Burns, who feeds Adams. Back to Isom. Isom attacking. And you know what? He went right after 6'8" Troy Baker. And I'm surprised the 6'8" product moved back so quickly.
Yes, he doesn't have a lot of weight on his frame, from what I can see. A tall, stringy fella.
Larry Plummer trying to penetrate into the London zone. Feeds Alexis Jackson. Back out to Troy Baker. And it's a 3-ball.
But he's got a fine-looking three-point shot.
Troy Baker again for the Bobcats. At 6'8", went to Southwestern, but that was in Kansas. Isom couldn't handle the pass.
Tough in-traffic pass.
Baker springs it up the court, but Larry Plummer couldn't complete the play. Now there's numbers the other way if London can push the pace. Lufiel kicks it out wisely, 3's away, and it's a nylon ripper for Marique Isom.
I thought he had the lane to the hoop. He just gave up a real good shot for maybe even a better wide open shot, and his teammate picked him up and buried it.
Elijah Lufiel's second assist of the game, arguably the best assist so far of the game.
It was a nice pass. Unselfish, that's for sure.
Alexis Jackson, let's see if he can get going. The 6'11" product will give it over to his teammate, though, and Kokomo has gone cold shooting-wise.
I saw that one coming, oh my goodness. Cross-court pass all the way on there. The defender always has the advantage, always has the angle. That's a dangerous pass.
Kokomo currently shooting 36.6% from the field. That's roughly 12% worse than the 48.5% London's currently shooting on your Thursday
shooting the ball
night.
well after a slow start.
Well, whatever was said after that 12-3 run by the Bobcats and the timeout called by Doug Plum certainly worked, John.
Nice give and go again and breaking to the basket. London looks like they really started focusing in on coming inside and then out.
Looks like Marty Gibson had his hand in the cookie jar there, John.
Yeah, what I like is the inside-out play. Inside is the first. Kick it out for an open three. Unless, of course, no defender on you. Of course, you're going to shoot an open three. But
So again, a reminder that London is back in action on Saturday night against another American-based opponent. It'll be the Jamestown Jackals, and it is Damian Warner night. The Olympic gold medalist should be in the house. Mike Nuga is denied underneath the basket. Then a fellow 10 looked like he was clearly fouled by Isom, and a delayed whistle finally goes.
I think it's going to be on Nuga, I think. That was a foul by Isom. I don't know why refs didn't call it, but it's not like this is not soccer, right? You don't play advantage, right? Like in soccer, if that's a foul, but the team loses an advantage because you call the play, you don't call the play, you play the advantage. But basketball doesn't have that.
That was the World Cup. That was the thing that drove me nuts. Was all the the non-calls and then the delayed calls.
And then called back. I don't understand that exactly.
I mean, even the fact that the offside seemed to change from having to clearly be a foot. Now they were looking, if your shoulder's even leaning over, that was offside.
I think it should be the foot. I agree.
Well, you're Dutch. Of course you think because they lost in the semifinals from some close calls, didn't they?
Well, yeah. They did lose to the eventual champions, so I'll give you that.
3 ball hits the bottom of the cup. That's Derek Hawthorne, and now he's 2 of 4 from downtown, John. He's got 12 points, but his teammate, Edward Oliver Hampton, leading everybody on the court with 14.
He's back on the court as well. Close to a 6-point gap here with 2 minutes. That's a holding foul. Prevented Amir Williams from getting to a spot.
Did you like that pass from Burns, though? He was pretty much looking at midcourt when he fed the no-look feed to Williams.
I don't think it was a no-look. It was a look away.
Oh, look away.
He must have looked at one point in time.
Okay.
Otherwise, how does he know the guy's going there?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you because it looks so beautiful. 10 seconds left on the shot clock here. And $1:45 remaining in the second quarter of play.
Ball's got to keep moving just like that. Be patient.
Williams,
lay it in. Very good.
Just sort of waited for the 6'11" Alexis Jackson to jump by him and put in the easy bunny for 2. 90 seconds remains here in the opening half of action. The Bobcats trailing by 8. Check that. The Marty Gibson 3 has brought his team within 5.
That's the great equalizer now in the ball game, right? The three-pointer. You get somebody hot, makes a couple 3-3s, and you don't have a good possession for 2. All of a sudden, they've caught up 6-9 points to you.
Both teams shot over 50% in their last games from beyond the arc. Kokomo shot 52.9%, making 9 of 17. London shot 53.7%, making 22 of 41. And as I say that, hitting the bottom of the cup is Jordan Burns. He was 0 for 3 from beyond the arc before that one, John. More mind-boggling, 9 assists before the halftime break for Burns. An 8-point lead for the Lightning as they do get it back to the Bobcats fortuitously. They get it back to Larry Plummer. He'll be denied underneath the basket as he tried to niftily reverse it.
Brave man going in there, willing to take the contact. He's going to the foul line and stopping the clock.
The Kokomo Bobcats are in action tomorrow in Toledo, Ohio at 7 p.m., which begs the question, why in the heck was this game slated for 7:30 p.m. here tonight, considering this team's now got to go on the road and play the Glass City Wranglers in Toledo tomorrow at 7 p.m. In fact, the journey doesn't get any easier. It's an away and home series against the Glass City Wranglers. They'll host the Wranglers on Sunday in Kokomo, Indiana, slated for a 3:05 p.m. start. Again, the Kokomo Bobcats so far from the free throw line have made 3 of 4. London made 7 of 10 in the opening half of play. Yeah. I think giving a bit of a look to the crowd is Larry Plummer. You can hear some of the jeers coming from the London faithful.
You got to expect that when you're playing on the road.
Marcus Oddie received the pass from Burns. I thought Burns was hacked in the process of doing that. Now Oddie backs up to midcourt. He'll feed Terry Thomas. Burns runs into the Bobcats' Hawthorne, and Hawthorne can't believe the call here, John. That'll be his second foul of the game.
Looks like a final timeout for the half with 15 seconds left. 14 seconds left on the shot clock for in London possession.
So as I mentioned before, there are 49 teams currently in the basketball league, John, but going into tonight's action, 48 all have 1 loss on their record. The Potawatomi Fire at 4-0 remain the lone undefeated team in their league. They're currently playing the Enid Outlaws tonight, trying to go to 5-0. And again, for the Bobcats, this is their lone NBLC trip north of the border in 2023. They will host the KW Titans in Kokomo, Indiana on April 22nd. In their only other taste of NBLC action, they do make another trip up to the beautiful country known as Canada. That's for a 3-game series against the Basketball League's Newfoundland Rogue. That starts on April 22nd. Now remember, London's actually beat the Rogues 4 times already in 2023. The Rogues finally have got some revenge against the NBLC, picking up a victory over the Windsor Express last night.
Okay, yes. So I was looking at the standings, right? And Sudbury has moved into first place in the standings officially.
And they beat the KW Titans last night. So not only do they hold the first place, but they have a 1-game advantage on that.
Yes, and that was something that Doug Plum was a little bit bemoaning in his article in the Free Press today. They're only playing Sudbury one more time this year, the last game of the year.
And that's in Sudbury.
And that's in Sudbury. So he said, we don't really have any control over our destiny. We need to hope that Sudbury drops a few games and we keep winning them all.
Well, that's a typical Doug Plum answer because he does control his own destiny. As they keep winning basketball games, they'll be fine.
Well, they'll be everybody's in the playoffs. We know that for sure. But you know, that pride in taking first place, right? This has been a long time since they have not been in first place.
Doug Plum, by the way, grew up in Pitt Meadows, British Columbia, and attended middle school at Pitt Meadows. But as a sophomore in high school, moved to Hastings, Minnesota, where his dad, Norm, found a job there. When he played basketball for Hastings High School, he left as their all-time leading scorer as a terrible play and a terrible shot selection winds out our first half of action.
Just great one-on-one defense. Terry Thomas had nowhere to go, no shot. He couldn't even see anybody. He had somebody right in his grill the whole time.
So the Bobcats again, John, came out guns blazing on your Thursday night with a 12-3 lead. Doug Plum called a timeout. It was reciprocated by a 15-4 run by the London Lightning. And man, oh man, after 24 minutes of basketball, the Lightning do have a 6-point lead against their first American opponent here in 2023.
Yeah, I'm going to give Kokomo some credit, right? They're playing in first time across the border. They're missing 3 of their players. I mean, they started off on fire. They got really hit hard at the end of that first quarter by London Lightning, who ran out. Looked like they're going to run away from them, but they came back into the game. Some of the 3-pointers, foul line. This is going to be a ball game second half. I really like what London did after the first 2 minutes, after that timeout. Whatever Doug Plum said, that really set the trajectory for the rest of the game for them in the first half. Just a quick look at the stats. 16 assists already for London Lightning. That's terrific. But still 9 turnovers.
And 9 of those 16 assists have all come from Jordan Burns, our player to watch in a yellow uniform.
Which the coach really urged him to share the ball, right? Hence, he's not shooting as much tonight. He can score. He scored 31 the other night, but that's not what his team needs from him tonight. They need to move the ball, facilitate the pass. 16 assists, that's a lot already for one half.
The London Lightning have played opponents from the Basketball League on 10 occasions so far in their franchise's history. They currently hold a 9-1 advantage. Do they get that 10th win here tonight against the 5-1 Kokomo Bobcats? You have to tune to the second half to find out.
When we looked at that London Free Press article, for instance, Coach Plum really challenged his leading scorer from last game, Jordan Burns, who, by the way, is the leading assist leader by far in the National Basketball League of Canada. He wanted him to be the point person to share the ball with his team and sacrifice some of his scoring. So he's only got 3 points.
Yeah, he sacrificed some scoring, all right.
But he's got 9 assists. And the other thing I see on the score thing, every player on the London Lightning has scored tonight.
Well, that's true, but Lance Adams, Jordan Burns, and Adam Melita each have 3 points. They're technically a combined, John, 3 of 12 from beyond the arc and 3 of 13 from the field. That is better, though, on the Indiana side of things. Bradley Lewis, Alexis Jackson, and Bryant Giffen are a combined 0 for 10 from the field, and the 3 are combined pointless so far on your Thursday.
Yes, but my point being is that he has followed the coach's direction. He is sharing the ball, getting everybody involved to the point where every player has scored, has touched the ball, and they have 16 assists already in the first half.
And again, 9 of those 16 come through the Texas
above
native.
The season average.
So 3 seconds left on the shot clock. Isom pulls up the 3. It won't go. Great box out underneath the hoop by Alexis Jackson allows his teammate Derek Hawthorne, who had 12 points over the first half. A little give and go and some hammer time, baby. Alexis Jackson, no love for the rim.
Good give and go that time, pick and roll, whatever you want to call it.
We saw Bryant Given try that a couple times in the first half. One was after a whistle, and then one he actually got fouled in the process of doing it. But it's something about those big dunks, John, just sort of get the crowd going one way or another. So Burns was sort of the rainbow. It won't go. Amir Williams grabs this one and one. I don't know what was more impressive, out-rebounding the 6'11 Jackson or then putting it back over the 6'7 Oliver Hampton.
With a little head fake and some muscle and a finish. Got an and one going here.
And again, he was a first-team All-Star, was Amir Williams last year in 2022 when he won a championship here with the London Lightning. The Rio Grande Valley Vipers drafted him 6th overall in the first round back in the 2015 D-League, now known as the G-League draft. In fact, Williams competed in 67 G-League games and started in 26 of them with both the Vipers and the Iowa Wolves. He had over 1,000 minutes of G-League basketball. Back the other way is Derek Hawthorne for 3. He's now 3 of 5 from beyond the arc, and now he leads everybody on the hardwood with 15 points in the game.
I think he's just a player they're hoping can heat up. That's what it looks like to me.
Thomas back out midcourt, gives it to the fellow Canadian and Audie, who's trying to muscle it down low to Amir Williams. Williams being guarded by Alexis Jackson, spinning off the double team, tried to find Thomas. Thomas tried to save it, but it went out of bounds. You didn't like what you saw underneath there.
It was way too close quarters there, and that was a bullet pass. Thomas had no chance. I think Williams should just bullied his way back up to the rim, drew another foul.
Bradley Lewis had 14 points in that last victory over the Kalamazoo Galaxy on Sunday for the Bobcats. So far, he's 0 for 4 in this game and no points. Now Alexis Jackson is rejected by Amir Williams, not once, but twice, John.
And that's number 6 block already for Amir Williams, if I'm counting correctly.
No,
he squeezes it in. Oh, my goodness. Ought to stay with it.
Edward Oliver Hampton. I mentioned it before.
You love that triple name, eh? Oliver Hampton.
Well, technically, I'm a Jonathan Evans Urbanowicz. So, yeah, the hyphen names do get to me, John.
Okay, I got you.
But again, this guy, Oliver Hampton, went to Hampton for 2 years. They're known as the Pirates, and then attended South Carolina State as a senior, where he averaged 19 minutes and 7.5 points per game for the South Carolina State Bulldogs. As now, again, the Kokomo Bobcats as a team, John, made 32 of 41 from the free throw line. That last one didn't go, though, and they're 4 of 6 from the charity stripe here on your Thursday.
Just don't foul Hawthorne. He never missed one last game.
Yeah, 13 of 13. I know you like that one, John.
That's a good shoot there. It's going to be offensive foul, or is what's it called?
I thought Edward Oliver Hampton kind of gave him the hip check a little bit.
Yep. I think it was the extended arm on the back of Amir Williams. That's what he called it as a.
Coming off the court for the Bobcats is Larry Plummer. Bryant Given will go back in. Given, again, so far pointless in this game. Does have 3 assists and 2 rebounds. 0 of 3, though, from the field. Just a 1-point game as the Bobcats continue to hang around. The assist master doing it again as Burns finds Audie, and it's a nylon.
Very controlled drive and a nice screen from Williams, and right over top of the rest of the group that are wide open.
Audie is a perfect 3 for 3 from beyond the arc. He's now got 12 points, leading everybody in a yellow uniform. Terry Thomas almost was stripped of it by Johnny Griffin Jr., but it'll be the first foul against Johnny Jr.
I used to be called John Jr.
Well, there you go. I got the hyphen connection, you got the John Jr. connection.
No longer.
The Bobcats, again, are on a 4-game winning streak, John. They got an easy 121-84 victory over the Lebanon Leprechauns. They handed the Glass City Wranglers their only loss so far of the 2023 TBL season, 102-96. And they had 2 straight close games against the Kalamazoo Galaxy, 96-93. And recently, another 3-point game, 113-110.
So they're winning the close ones, and they're making the easy ones. So I'm just looking at the court, and I see both Lufiel and Williams over London Lightning. So that means they're 2 bigs who have been subbing each other off and on. The most 2 physical players are on the court at the same time.
Do you think London would be controlling this game a lot more with the help of Justin Jackson and Cameron Lard still on the roster? Remember, Jackson's currently on the injured reserve list, and from our notations, Cameron Lard's actually been released from the team.
Yeah, he wasn't on the roster, so that must be.
Lightning are getting back Jeremiah Morty, though, soon, as Terry Thomas's one-hand floater is good.
He is so crafty, I tell you. I would not want to guard that man.
The guy wearing 4s and Joe Redditch, one of the newer Bobcats to the Kokomo team, got burned by Thomas, who has a bit of a conversation with him after.
Well, I noticed that the Bobcats don't have their big out there, and there are 2 bigs out there for London. I'm anticipating that if this continues, ball's going inside, the ball's going inside, the ball's going inside.
Thomas
Lightning
can't make it from the free throw line. Johnny's 1 of 4 from the charity stripe tonight. trying to retaliate the other way. Too much muscle for Joe Redditch. And it's Elijah Lufiel. I mean, he's got 6 rebounds tonight. I think it's 3 and 3 offensively and defensively split. Now into a sea of blue uniforms is Amir Williams. He'll be stripped. Audie was trying to pickpocket a Bobcat from behind in Hawthorne. And then you're going to get the call on that one with 8:05 remaining in the third Q.
I think Williams did the right thing there. He went up strong. Just no foul call, but I think that's exactly the right play. Pounded inside. You're going to draw the fouls more often than not.
He looked like he was in the deep blue sea, John, with 4 Bobcat uniforms around him.
But there wasn't anybody within 6 inches taller of his height.
Spinning around on the pivot foot now is Redditch. He'll eventually find his teammate, Edward Oliver Hampton, with a nifty fake. He'll draw the foul and go to the line. I believe that'll be Thomas, his second foul of the game.
Good head fake and a late rotation by Terry Thomas that time.
Nobody really in foul trouble per se here midway through the third quarter of play, but for the London Lightning, Marique Isom does have 3 fouls, and Alexis Jackson, the big man, who's 1 of 7 from the field here tonight, has 3 for the Bobcats. This one rattles around and says, I'm not going down for Edward Oliver Hampton, who's now 0 of 2 from the charity stripe. Remember, they went 32 of 41 as a collective. Hawthorne was 13 of 13. Plummer was 7 of 7. Jackson was 1 of 1. And Devin Harris, who's not on the team, or couldn't make it across the border, I should say, for this game, was 7 of 8. That's the second foul against Redditch. He's had a bit of a rough third quarter so far for the Bobcats. Really shocked to not see more Bradley Lewis here in the second half. Yeah, he had a rough one, John. 0 for 4 from the field with no points, but this is a guy that went to Kentucky State as a junior, West Virginia State as a senior, and actually recently played in the Czech Republic before joining back in the TBL for the Milwaukee, Wisconsin native. So Burns, our player to watch, Johnny, was 1 of 5 from the field before that shot. Retaliating, though, nicely, by the way, for his Johnny Griffin Jr.
Quick 3 blocked that time by the Bobcats.
That was Bryant Giffen, who's pointless so far in this game, but getting it done defensively there, John.
Yeah, you can do more than score, right?
A chance for the open 3. Instead, he'll power step his way in, and Johnny Griffin the Jr. back-to-back
That's because there's no Amir Williams down the middle. Here he comes back to the scorer's bench, I see. And same with Isom. Both can be defensive stoppers and stop and drive to the lane.
So you notice with the lack of bigs, it was looking a little like Swiss cheese on the defense for the Lightning. And immediately the bigs go back to the scorer's table to try and check back into this game. Lightning are still enjoying a 5-point lead as Bryant Giffen crosses over midcourt and feeds his teammate to the left side and Oliver Hampton. Perimeter passing by the Bobcats. 3 is rejected by the rim. Bryant Griffin now 0 of 4 from the field. That was his first shot from beyond the arc.
And again, Lufield doing the dirty work, getting that rebound.
Burns, I don't know if getting a piece of it was given. Regardless, the shot missed the rim and a whistle goes.
I think Burns was feeling the pressure there to score for his team because I don't think he had the right set of people around him.
Elijah Lufiel and Adam Alita come off. The 2 Canadians are replaced by a Texas native in Marique Isom, as well as Amir Williams, who comes from Birmingham, Michigan. 6:05 remains here in the third quarter of play. The Bobcats playing in their first game in Canada in 2023. In fact, their first game ever in franchise history north of the border. Trail here by 5. They can't get any love off the rim. It is the big man Amir Williams with the defensive board, his 5th of the game. Terry Thomas tried to reverse it off the hoop. Couldn't get it to go. Coincidentally bounces off of Ty Tillman's hand. So Ty Tillman getting his first taste in a Bobcats uniform.
That was a pretty play, everything but the finish, but that was beautiful. No look pass, or a look away pass as I try to call him.
An interesting position to be put in for Ty Tillman, who we just saw, Brian Giffen, who we've seen throughout this game, and Joe Redditch. They're all playing in their debut games in a Kokomo Bobcats uniform. So you play in Kokomo, Indiana, in a league called the Basketball League in the Upper Midwest Conference, where you're playing against teams like the Kalamazoo Galaxy, West Virginia Grind, Lebanon Leprechauns. So your coach calls you and goes, hey, I got an opportunity for you to play. And you go, great, coach, when are we playing? London, Ontario, Canada against the London Lightning.
Who? I'm sure he said that. So.
But what a unique opportunity. In talking with Cliff Livingston before the game, he simply put it like this, and I couldn't agree with him more. It's an opportunity for those three gentlemen to take somebody else's job.
Well, that's the whole point, right? You get a chance to show your stuff, maybe you can stick, right?
So again, the Bobcats, again, are a newer franchise, John. They were created back in 2020 for the 2021 season, and they are the 2022 Midwest Conference champions. They were denied their trip to the championship by the Albany Patroons. Those Patroons actually are the only TBL team to hand the London Lightning a loss in their franchise's history. The London Lightning, again, went 5-1 against the TBL in 2022. They beat the Lansing Pharaohs twice here at Budweiser Gardens, 104-90 and 112-94. They beat the Flint United twice, both once on the road and once here at home, 95-88 and 113-83 respectively. And then they beat the Syracuse Stallions in that marquee matchup in the Battle of the Undefeateds, 109-95. But as I mentioned, the 97-90 loss to the Albany Patroons is the lone loss in franchise history for London against the Basketball League. They've started 2023 with 4 straight wins, all against the Newfoundland Rogues. And we should note there have been some close ones, John. They won one game in Newfoundland in overtime.
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious here because the game is staying close, and anybody can pull it out, right? If you're
a
got this
little too close for London Lightning fans. Marique Isom can change that here. Rim rejection instead, though, and back the other way, turning the tide will be Brian Given. To his teammate and newcomer in Joe Redditch. He'll be denied, though, and I believe that's what, the 7th block of the game by Williams?
That's what I'm counting anyway.
Now remember, he did not win the Defensive Player of the Year last year. That went to Tyron Walker of the KW Titans, who had over 70 blocks in the league. I believe Amir was 2nd or 3rd in that category. But to be honest with you, he's only playing in his 2nd game in a Lightning uniform here in 2023. If he keeps up at this 7 block per game pace, maybe he might win it this year.
Well, yes, that's incredible. That time he got held trying to establish position, so he's going to the foul line because we're already in the bonus, London Lightning here with 5 minutes to go. Bobcats are already at 7 fouls.
It's a real spread offense for the Lightning. With Amir Williams at the line, he's currently 2 of 3. Check that, now 3 of 4. He's leading all yellow uniforms with 11 points in this game. He's supported by Audie and Elijah Lufiel, who both have 9. Marique Isom and Terry Thomas both have 8. And Jordan Burns has 7 to go along with his 10 assists. On the Bobcat side of the fence, though, it's 2 Kokomo products. Edward Oliver Hampton with 17 and Derek Hawthorne, player to watch, with 15, have combined for 32 of the 57 points on the board. As they play a little volleyball underneath it, they eventually pull it away to the Lightning. Audie to Burns. Burns originally rejected to Williams, got it back and fed Thomas. The give and go here with 13 seconds left on the shot clock. Edward Oliver Hampton guarding Burns. Burns attacking, the pull-up J rattles around, won't go down, and into the lap of a Bobcat who tries to turn the tide the other way, and Johnny Griffin Jr. 3 into the corner, rattles out, and Joe Redditch continuing to try and find his stride. He's 0 of 3 in this game. Bryant Griffin, Bradley Lewis, Ty Tillman, and Joe Redditch. 4 Bobcats have 0 points combined and have all touched the ball and had a shot attempt in this contest.
I'm telling you, they need to get into Hawthorne's hands as well.
Thomas for 3. It rattles around and goes down. It's a 10-point lead for the Lightning with 4 minutes left in the 3rd Q. So after that 3 ball, Thomas now has 11 points. But again, he's just the 2nd Lightning product in double-digit point production. Williams with 12, Thomas with 11. Being fouled on his way to the net was Johnny Griffin, who currently has 8 points and 3 rebounds for the Bobcats here on your Thursday evening. And again, a reminder that the Bobcats are in action tomorrow on the road in Toledo, Ohio to take on the Glass City Wranglers. That's at 7 p.m. London gets a night off, but then they take on the Jamestown Jackals of the Basketball League on Saturday night here at Budweiser Gardens. It's a 7:30 p.m. start. And it's also Damian Warner night, as the Olympic gold medalist will be in the house, John.
Hometown boy.
Went to Montcalm High School here. I believe they're known as the Cougars. I could be wrong.
They are with a C. Yes.
With a C. We got to clarify that with Kokomo in town. Again, I mentioned our producer Curtis went to Bluefield High School. They're known as the Bobcats, but they spelt it with a C. I also want to give a big shout out to Cam and Quentin, our cameramen, doing an incredible job giving you all these angles, as well as the replays provided by our man Curtis back in the truck. He's John Van Houwelingen, folks, the OG of the NBLC, and I'm Jonathan Urbanowicz, happy to take you through some NBLC and TBL action here on your Thursday night. Not only can you join us on NBLC TV as we normally are, but tonight as well at TBL TV, synchronized. 3.5 to go here in the third quarter of play. Jordan Burns, who again already has 10 assists, John, just 3 points shy of the double-double, will turn over the ball.
I think that was called on Terry Thomas, a holding foul. He's trying to hold the player following Amir Williams, who's darting to the basket.
Only player in foul trouble currently is Marik Isom with 4. That'll be Terry Thomas's third foul of the game. In a Kokomo uniform, Alexis Jackson and Edward Oliver Hampton both have 3. Now, wait a minute here. That bucket should count, and the officials say it will. Amir Williams actually rocked the rim as the ball was transpiring to it. That's a goaltending.
Yeah, it is, yes.
I don't know if we can get a replay of that one, but that's not a play you usually see too often.
No, he was just coming across from the weak side and just got his hand caught up in the net.
I think I broke the replay machine. 13 remains now in the third quarter. Just a 6-point lead for the Lightning, and we are going to take another look at it here.
Oh, here it is, yeah.
As he pulled the mesh, actually, with his offhand.
Yeah,
he had his blocking hand leading, but his offhand grabbed the mesh from behind. A cheeky play. Maybe they get away with that in Malaysian basketball.
Amir Williams with the first three-pointer of the night.
I was going to say a rare 3-ball take. He was 4 of 7 from the field, his first 3-ball attempt. Now trying to retaliate with a 3 of their own for Kokomo and not being able to get it go down was Ty Tillman. Does anybody want to get a basket over the last couple minutes, John?
How is that? Bluefield even supposed to get that pass from Burns? He didn't let him establish his position and hold the player down.
We go back to the beginning of this game. Kokomo started off on a 12-3 run. Doug Plum called a timeout. They retaliated with a 15-4 run. And as we were all tied up at 16 all in this third quarter specifically, changing that is Derek Hawthorne, the UT Martin product.
I tell you, if they're looking for Hawthorne, I have a feeling he's ready to bust out. He sprinted down the floor. No London player was even near him. They just threw the ball up to him. He turned and fired from 5 feet outside the three-point line.
4 of 7 from beyond the arc for 20 points for Derek Hawthorne, leading everybody on the hardwood. Elijah Lufiel, turnaround Jay's good as the shot clock was expiring.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go to the basket, but that was great court awareness for the shot clock, and he had a smooth turnaround jumper there. Good court awareness.
Past the 2-minute warning here in the third quarter. Thanks for joining us here on NBLC TV and TBL TV in this international interleague battle between the Kokomo Bobcats and the London Lightning. And it looks like some great sportsmanship being shown between Johnny Griffin Jr. as he tried to put Elijah Lufiel on a poster. And to be honest with you, I thought he was getting into his grill to be kind of unsportsmanlike. No, it was the exact opposite.
I think he was saying, wow, that was a great block.
Exactly. Now watch this.
Yeah. So that's a great block right here. You go down and you're straddling him. Usually that's like a taunting foul. But no, I think he's saying to him, wow, that was a great block. You're brave.
I'm expecting you to use your Yogi Berra quote, the immovable object. The
irresistible force.
Yeah, exactly.
Object.
That was a prime example of it right there.
Well, usually one wins out, right? So.
Well, that was they met in the middle.
That one, the immovable object won.
90 seconds left in the third quarter. Just a 3-point lead for the boys in yellow. Thomas feeds Isom. Back to Audie. Audie splitting the seams. Looked like he took an extra step there. Got the ball back. 14 seconds put back onto the shot clock. Audie stuck on his pivot foot. He'll lose it. Back up the court. Derek Hawthorne. Two-hand jam, baby.
Well, that was a bad pass to the court, but his player didn't come to the ball either. That didn't help matters.
So Derek Hawthorne, again, your leading point getter, reads this play, intercepts the pass to Adams, and goes up and elevates.
And Lufiel.
Now Elijah Lufiel.
One-hands it. The rebound back to his other hand and up for the dunk.
Pretty much says, Hawthorne, you broke out the hammer. How about I break out the sledgehammer here? As off the Thomas miss, Elijah Lufiel out-muscles the Bobcat to the ball. Brings it down, collects it himself, and look at the authority on this one by Elijah Lufiel.
Oh, my, another turnover. Unnecessary pass for going out of bounds. My goodness.
So what an interesting second half of action. We mentioned in our keys of the game, John, that starting off in this third quarter was imperative for the Lightning because, again, in their last 4 games, they've had dismal starts to the second half, including being outscored 30-19 in that loss to the Sudbury 5 on Sunday.
Yeah,
Well, currently, we're being outscored 23-20 here in the third quarter by the Bobcats. And as a result of that, the Bobcats could potentially tie the game up on this possession.
no fouls to give here for London.
Lance Adams protecting Hawthorne. Hawthorne dripping the clock down. Pass is intercepted though. Chance for Adams as the clock is expiring. It won't go down.
Great looking shot though. The time pressure, time crunch on him.
Adams now 1 of 5 from beyond the arc and 1 of 6 in this game. Just 3 points in the contest. It is Elijah Lufiel leading the London Lightning with 13 points.
The 2 bigs are.
And 8 rebounds, mind you, John. But again, I look at the other end of the court. Derek Hathorn has 22 points. I knew he was going to be our player to watch for a reason in a baby blue uniform. But again, when I said that to the coach, he immediately said, well, watch out for Edward Oliver Hampton too, young fella. And he was right, because that guy's pouring in a quality support for Hathorn. Currently 17 points and 6 rebounds. He's 7 of 14 from the field.
Yeah, Hawthorne really came alive in that third quarter, especially the second half of it. I think he really needs to be, if I'm the Kokomo Bobcats, I really would say let's focus on getting him some open looks. You know, Hampton can get his shot off anytime. But he is, to me, is just one of those players that can just go off on you and carry this team.
The Bobcats won by 3 points on Sunday over the Kalamazoo Galaxy. They shot 48% from the field, making 36 of 75 shots. Currently, they've made 26 of 66 shots after 3 quarters of basketball. That's good for 39.8%. So let's face it, they're still in this game. In fact, they're only 1 possession down, John, but if they can just shoot a little bit better, and especially during that 12-3 Kokomo run, this building was silent.
It was.
Now, you're here entering the fourth quarter of play. They usually do these inter-quarter games, you know, rolling the tires, making free throw shots. Some lady just won a free throw shooting contest, and this place got as loud as it's been all Thursday night, John. What's going on?
Well, that's exciting, right? And that's the rim that the London Lightning are shooting on, so she got it warmed up for them.
Now, the only point that I'm trying to make, though, is wouldn't you want them getting loud during the game action, not the actual games between quarters?
It's like when you're singing like a tenor or an opera guy, right? You gotta warm up your lungs, warm up your the scales of your voices, right? So
well,
that's
what
they're doing.
The PA's pumping Sweet Caroline over there.
That's what you gotta do. You gotta get warmed up and then get to a crescendo. Isn't that great musical references there?
So the London Lightning are trying to at least, I was going to try and put a musical pun in there, but I'm not going to bother, John. But either way, they're trying to put
we need some sweet music going on here.
A finishing tune, if you will, a finishing touch to this 3-point lead. They got 12 minutes of basketball left here on your Thursday night. He's John Van Houwelingen, and I'm Jonathan Urbanowicz. We're happy to take you through this international interleague battle between the TBL's Kokomo Bobcats and the National Basketball League of Canada's London Lightning. Jordan Burns, he's just a couple points shy of the double-double after having 9 assists at the halftime break.
The ball was bounced out of bounds. Had nowhere to go, Nuga. So I noticed that Kokomo's got their big guy in, right? They're tall. That, of course, is, let me get the name there, number 18.
Yeah, Alexis Jackson, who comes in at 6'11". Now, the only thing, he is contributing the 6 rebounds, and he does have 1 assist, John, but he's 1 of 7 from the field for just 2 points so far on your Thursday.
Well, he has getting no space to operate with Amir Williams in there.
He had 15 points in that win over Kokomo, where he was 7 of 10 from the field. He added 6 rebounds and a block over 32 minutes of play. Open 3, and maybe there's such thing as being too open, John, as Brian Given couldn't get it to go down.
Well, remember, good 3-point shooting percentage is what, right? 35, 38%. So they're going to be misses even with the open looks.
By the way,
even the pros aren't shooting 100% when they're open every time.
You mentioned Alexis Jackson being the big man on the court. They were trying to force the issue, maybe pound the paint. Our key to the game brought to you by thestable.ca. Instead, a quick jumper. They had 14 seconds left on the shot clock.
I don't think that's a great shot selection. I agree with you.
Bryant Given, so far in this game, he's got 4 points, but John, he's 1 of 8 from the field. 3 ball won't go for Burns, rebounded by the Bobcats, but they get, well, I was going to say foolish with it. And into the stands goes Ty Tillman. He was trying to save the ball.
Well, it's two players that rebounded the ball underneath the net for the Kokomo Bobcats, and one knocked the other player out of bounds. He was trying to save it.
So, not to point fingers, John, but Brian Giffen, Ty Tillman, Joe Redditch, your three new Bobcats making their debut tonight, have a combined 4 points. Ty Tillman and Joe Redditch are both pointless so far in this game, a combined 0 for 4 from the field, as Terry Thomas adds to his point production.
I would put him as the equivalent on the other side for London Lightning. He can get hot in this third quarter. I think they
Nifty reverse window.
He needs to, oh my goodness.
They're going to call the foul here on Ty Tillman as he got kind of into the gut of Amir Williams, but I want to go back.
That's what that pass. This is a great reverse layup here, yes.
Brian Given, I was just kind of not criticizing him.
You're just questioning, yes.
And then he says, you know what, take this, announcer.
And who was that against?
Amir Williams.
The big guy. And then Amir Williams got very fortunate there. That was a foolish pass he brought in from the inbounds, not looking where the defender was. But what I'm saying is that Terry Thomas, to me, is the equivalent of Hawthorne on the other side. They need to look for him to get some offense going here, take some pressure off the big.
Thomas, 5 of 11 from the field in this game for 13 points. Hawthorne, to your point, John, 9 of 14 from the field for 22.
That time was a great back screen by Terry Thomas. And Amir Williams just sails into the middle. A nice little dunk.
For Thomas, it's just his second assist of the game, but again, the ferocity behind the dunk of Amir Williams, who now has 14 points in the game. Kokomo down by 5 with under 10 minutes to go in the game. The pull-up 2 won't go down for Derek Hawthorne. Amir Williams sort of standing still like a statue, eventually finds Burns, who carries it into Bobcat territory. Thomas kicking out to Isom. It won't go down from downtown. So again, the Bobcats are only down by 2 possessions here on the road in their first taste of Canadian basketball. And penetrating into the zone nicely was Johnny Griffin Jr. He's now got 10 points in this game.
Great hesitation move and burst through the defense. No time to rotate over for Amir Williams.
London currently 4-0 versus the Basketball League in 2023, but that's against one opponent, the Newfoundland Rogues. They beat them 3 times out in the Atlantic, and they beat them once here at Budweiser Gardens.
Clearing out for Williams. So he's going to do a power move.
Amir Williams, he thought he was fouled, but the too strong of a coffee won't go down. So again, for the Bobcats, they will play another NBLC opponent, but that'll actually take place at home against the KW Titans. This is their lone trip up to Canada as the Canadian Marcus Audie with the one-hand cram.
Full stride, one-hand slam. Smallest guy on the court.
And it's the Canadian duo, Thomas to Audie to the tin. Now Thomas to Audie for 3. It'll rattle around and go down.
I love his teammate passing up an open look and giving it to the hot guy. Thomas passing to Audie.
Canadian connection, John, between Thomas and Audie has roasted the Bobcats for 5 straight points, and as a result, the Canadian team has an 8-point lead. Too strong on the 3 ball by the Bobcats. Burns to Thomas. Thomas is fouled by Marty Gibson, who missed that last 3 ball.
Terrific patience that time. Slowed the ball to give enough time for Terry Thomas to run down the sideline, hit him in stride, and drew the foul.
Mike Nuga, 9 rebounds in the game. Jordan Burns, 12 assists. Again, leading everybody on the court, though, is actually a Bobcat. That's Derek Hawthorne with 22 points. Nobody's grabbed the bull by the horn, so to speak, as far as the offense for London. Audie and Williams both with 14. Lufiel and Thomas both with 13. Isom with 8. Burns with 7. Nuga with 5. Adam and Alita with 3. Everybody's got in on the action, John, especially with the absence of Justin Jackson on the injured reserve list, the recent release of Cameron Lard, and waiting for Jeremiah Morty to return from Africa.
Yes, and Jermaine Haley, of course, from the G League.
If he clears G League waivers in time.
Yes, there might be somebody who wants him. And in that time, these last few offense, like I said, Terry Thomas, they need to start looking for him. Well, they did in a way, because he's the one that set the backstream for Williams. He's the one that drew the foul on that drive, and he's the one that passed it to Audie for the wide open 3. So use him as a decoy if you need to.
In that 116-109 loss to Sudbury on Sunday, London led by 3 after the first quarter. Johnny, they led by 10 at the halftime break, 69-59. But they were outscored 30-19 in the third quarter alone, would go on to lose that game on the road by 7 points. I think tonight, though, they were trailing 12-3 right out of the gate. They somehow came back and won the first quarter, though, 23-20. They were leading at the halftime break by 6 points. They were outscored, though, again in the third quarter, albeit just 23-20. But here in the fourth quarter, where it matters the most, they're out to a 9-4 run, trying to add to it with Thomas at the line.
Lots of time left in the game yet, 8 minutes.
But it seems this lull of Lightning offense, if you will, so far on your Thursday night has truly benefited Kokomo. Continues to stick around in this game. Sometimes the lead has gotten up to double digits, but predominantly, John, it's been a 1 or 2 possession game all night here at Budweiser Gardens.
Yes, it has been, exactly.
So the East Preston, Nova Scotia native, the former Ottawa GG of OUA, looks to go 2 for 2 here at the line, and he does. And as a result, his team does lead by double digits again, John, up by 10 with under 8 to go. Kickball here by Amir Williams is trying to find his teammate Edward Oliver Hampton was Marty Gibson.
Good kickball, actually, because nobody had him down in the middle. Defensive assignment missed there.
From the end line, trying to inbound it here is Derek Hawthorne. Again, coming off of a 33-point performance where he was 4 of 8 from downtown and 13 of 13 from the line. Johnny's 4 of 8 from downtown again tonight with 22 points. The difference is he hasn't had a chance to go to the line yet at all. Oliver Edward Hampton passes it to his teammate who wisely went underneath on the reverse. Couldn't get it to go, but Oliver Hampton says, I got your back. He's got 19 points in the game.
Yeah, he's a good player, Hampton. He's all over the court. Almost every possession or offensive goes through him as well.
So the Bobcats need stops, and as I say that, they're going to get Isom tripping up a Bobcat at midcourt. Is a little worse for wear and Marty Gibson. So 8-point lead for the Lightning. Kokomo, though, again, this is a team that's won 4 straight games. They lost back on March 5th to the Jamestown Jackals. The same Jamestown Jackals we're going to see Saturday night here at Budweiser Gardens. But since then, the Bobcats won 4 straight games. 121-84 over the Lebanon Leprechauns. 102-96 to the Glass City Wranglers. That's impressive because the Wranglers are 5-1. That's their only loss so far of the TBL season. And then 2 straight close wins by 3 points over the Kalamazoo Galaxy, 96-93 and 113-110. As this is going to come down to the wire again if the Bobcats can help themselves. But Oliver Edward Hampton with a rare miss, John. He's 8 of 16 from the field.
Not a good possession that time. No ball movement for Kokomo Bobcats that time.
London currently with a 14-5 overall record, John. 10-5 within the conference, looking to improve to 15-5 overall. That obviously won't affect their conference record, though, which will remain at 10-5 this week, even after Saturday's game against Jamestown.
Big Amir Williams that time had the mismatch and right overpowered his defender.
And then Amir gets back onto the defense, got into the grill of Edward Oliver Hampton. The 6'7 South Carolina State product couldn't cap off the last play for the visiting Bobcats.
And then the London Muscle picked up that rebound. I'm calling that muscle guy Elijah Lufiel. That's what he brings, physicality, space underneath.
3 Canadians on the court currently for the Lightning in Audie, Lufiel, and Thomas, but it's the American in Burns for 3.
Good. Like I said, I just love that. In and out. Drive it in, pass in. If they collapse, kick it out to the wide open 3.
Burns is just 2 of 7 from beyond the arc, but John, now he's got 10 points in this game, and our player to watch in a Lightning uniform officially has the double-double coupled with his 13 assists. This one rattles around and won't go down. A fortuitous bounce for London off of Derek Hathorne's shot. The pass from Joe Redditch is intercepted by Burns, and now Burns with his 4th steal of the game. Loses it to Elijah Lufiel, his teammate. Down low in the paint, kicks it out to Thomas. 10 seconds left on the shot clock. 5:20 remains in this game. A 13-point lead for the Lightning, as I think Thomas was actually trying to set up Williams, and that shot missed.
And Williams gets the rebound, just waits to get hammered, and he should be going to the foul line.
I think this is where a guy that runs sprints before the game in the head coach Doug Plum is starting to win every marathon here in the NBLC, because here we are in the fourth quarter, John. We were preaching how, yeah, the lead's gotten up to double digits sometimes, but predominantly the Kokomo Bobcats have held it to a 1 or 2 possession game. But as this game continues to wear down and the legs continue to get tired for a team that did have to travel 361 miles to get here, by the way, and then we'll have to travel roughly 300 plus miles back the other way to go to Toledo, Ohio to play against the Glass City Wranglers tomorrow night at 7 p.m. My point is that if you're looking at the gas tank, I think that needle's closer towards the E than the F if you're looking at the Bobcats.
Well, I'll have to thank them, the TBL for being part of this league, right, with the interleague play. It does cause a lot of travel for some of the teams, but here we are playing on a Thursday night in London, Ontario.
Jamestown Jackals will be in on Saturday, and as I mentioned before, the Kalamazoo Galaxy, it was originally slated to be the Glass City Wranglers, but they switched it to Kalamazoo, will come to April to play 2 straight games against London. As continuing to struggle in his Kokomo debut is Joe Redditch. He's now 0 of 4 from the field. Along with his teammate Bradley Lewis and Ty Tillman, the two are combined 0 for 10 for 0 points. And again, kind of going back to that battle of nutrition or the marathon, yada, yada, yada. Everybody in a Lightning uniform has gotten some points. Even Adams and Alita, who are combined 2 of 5 from the field, and we have 3. You look at the bottom 3, though, on the Kokomo list. Bradley Lewis, 0 of 4. Ty Tillman, 0 of 1. Joe Redditch, 0 of 4. No points combined.
Well, Terry Thomas, like I said, he's slowly crawling up the leaders board. Up to 15, 16 points now. He's really been an instigator. He's played most of these minutes as well in this fourth quarter. I think Coach was saving him for the end of the game.
Trying to go 5 of 8 from the line, and he does here. And as a result, London is starting to pull away with this one on your Thursday night. The lead has been put up to 16, the largest of the evening, John.
Yeah, this game is getting away from Kokomo.
The spin around J won't go down. It looked nice, but there was no finish to Bradley Lewis, who's now 0 of 5 in this game, John. He's coming off of a 14-point performance over 16 minutes of action where he was 6 of 9 from the field.
That should be a breakaway one, I would think. Both Hawthorne and Hampton are off the floor at this point as well. I don't know if Coach Livingston is going to put them back in after the 17-point getaway lead
and
for London Lightning.
You have to consider they're back in action against a divisional opponent in Glass City Wranglers tomorrow on the road in Toledo, Ohio at 7 p.m. So less than 24 hours from now, they're back in action back in the States.
And what, are they playing on Sunday again as well?
They play the Wranglers at home back at Kokomo, Indiana. That's right, on Sunday. That's slated for a 3:05 p.m.
3 games in 4 nights, right?
And in 2 different states and 1 province.
Yeah, that's a lot of drive and a lot of moving around.
4 minutes remains here out of the 48 slated on your Thursday night. Burns zigzagging through the Kokomo defense, tried to feed a pass to Thomas, lost it, dove to the court to get it back. 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Burns fed from Thomas. Looks like they're just willing to drop the clock out here. 3 seconds left. Thomas with the floater. Nylon tickler.
That was Burns, right, with the floater, last second shot.
Yeah, I beg my pardon. You're right, though. It was Jordan Burns, who's now 5 of 13 from the field. He's got the double-double, John, with 13 assists and 12 points. Kokomo desperate to respond, and they do here. Johnny Griffin Jr. has had a pretty solid second half to this game, has 12 points. He's 5 of 10 from the field. But his team still trails by 16 points, John.
I think this will be clock management from here on in for the Lightning.
Well, you kind of noticed that the last possession where Burns burned them at the very end, tickling the twine. Looks like they're trying to do a duplicate. Burns, as the shot clock's expiring, hits Nylon from distance.
Well, we know he can score, that's for sure. He can shoot. We know he can pass the ball as well. He's going to well surpass his league-leading assist percentage, 8.6 tonight.
But Jordan Burns was 1 of 7 from beyond the arc at one point of this game, John. Now he's 3 of 8, so he's starting to heat up when it matters most. A careless turnover allows Bradley Lewis his first points of the game after being 0 of 5 from the field. I don't think he was going to miss that one.
No. Now Burns, of course, has the ball in his hand quite a bit, so quite often he's also taking the last second shot, which is a lot lower percentage as well, right? In all fairness to him.
Loses the handle on it here, but they're going to say it went off of Johnny Griffin Jr. last. It'll maintain London basketball with 2:13 remaining on the clock. So we kept mentioning, too, that the Jamestown Jackals will be into town, John, on Saturday night. That's when the London Lightning are next in action. In fact, it's Damian Warner night. The Olympic gold medalist will be in town. After that, the London Lightning are back in action next Wednesday night when they host the Windsor Express again in 2023. I feel like we've said that.
That's the last time they play them, though. That's the last game they play them, though.
Well, it'll only be the 100th time, I think, in NBLC history.
Yes, that's true.
Not an exaggeration, by the way. We've hit the 2-minute warning here on your Thursday night. Thanks for joining us, by the way, on Cujo Entertainment on both NBLC TV and TBL TV as Mike Nuga lays this one in. He's got 7 points in the game. Nuga is 1 rebound shy from hitting double digits. Troy Baker, nice pass from his teammate in Brian Given. Listen, if I had to criticize the 3 newcomers in Ty Tillman, Joe Reddick, and Brian Giffen, I think Brian Giffen's definitely earned another spot on the roster if I'm Cliff Livingston. Because like I said before the game, he said it's an opportunity for these 3 guys to take somebody else's job.
No, I'm thinking Burns has been on the floor, same as last game, about 47 minutes again, you think?
But he continues to heat up, John. Remember, this guy was pretty much pointless in the opening half, despite the fact that he had 9 assists.
Well, he was told not to score. He was told to pass, and that's what he did.
Well, now he's scoring, John. He's got 17 points in this game to couple with his 16 assists. He's 4 rebounds shy of a triple-double. As Johnny Griffin Jr., as I mentioned, I think he's been the best Bobcat in the second half. He's got 14 points in the game.
Now, who's the guard that's coming back again, playing overseas right now? Because that's what they really need to spell Burns off for some of the games.
Jeremiah Morty.
That's the one I'm talking about, yeah.
Under a minute to go. The Lightning have passed the century mark, as they so often do offensively.
They're not past it. They're on it.
Oh, my word, John.
It's got to be past 100.
Oh,
if they score more than 100, then the free stuff starts
happening. They're
in
triple digits, John, is my point.
Well, then the free stuff starts happening.
Okay. Oh, that's right. The cactus fries.
Yeah, so you got to be past 100. So I'm not sure if it's going to happen.
Okay, the Bandera bread.
Yeah,
we're going to miss out on our Bandera bread if they don't get another point here. Let's see if Burns and Adams can change that right here. Oh! Bottom of the cup for 3.
You got it.
And maybe more importantly, John, they've limited the Bobcats here on the road to 85 points. A Bobcats team that were winning this game early, 12-3 out of the gate. As looking visibly dejected after that last miss was Bradley Lewis. He's 0 of 5 from beyond the arc. So for the first time in 2023, the Kokomo Bobcats come up to Canada to play an NBLC team. And it is the London Lightning pulling away with the 103-85 victory in their first taste of TBL action against an American-based opponent. They move to 5-0 now against the TBL in 2023. 10-1 in their franchise's history against the Basketball League. Again, Kokomo, after this tough 18-point loss, will try and respond against a divisional opponent tomorrow night in Toledo, Ohio, when they take on the Glass City Wranglers. The London Lightning will look to continue their winning ways against the TBL with their 10-1 record when they take on the Jamestown Jackals. Now, here's the thing. Kokomo came in with a 5-1 record, folks. Again, Kokomo's last loss was to the Jamestown Jackals on March 5th. Jamestown will come in on Saturday. Apo Taco. They are 1-5 with their last win coming on March 5th against this Kokomo Bobcat. So that doesn't necessarily spell all that great of a prediction for the Jamestown Jackals come Saturday.